Something is wrong. You don't know what, you don't know why. But somewhere deep inside your chest, a quiet alarm is sounding. Your thoughts are moving faster than usual. Your body feels slightly tense. There's a restlessness you can't explain and can't seem to shake. Nothing bad has happened. Nothing is visibly threatening. And yet your brain has decided, completely on its own, that you should be worried. We call this anxiety, and almost everyone alive has felt it. But here's the question almost nobody asks. Why does a brain capable of solving complex problems, building relationships, and imagining entire futures spend so much of its time generating fear about things that haven't happened yet? Why would evolution produce a mind that works against itself? The answer is not what most people expect. And once you hear it, the next anxious thought you have will feel completely different. But before we get to that answer, we need to understand something about how your brain actually works. Because most people have a fundamental misunderstanding about it. Your brain is not a recording device. It doesn't simply observe the world and react to what's there. It predicts every single moment of your waking life. Your brain is running simulations of what's about to happen. It's making guesses, filling in gaps, constructing a version of the future milliseconds, minutes, and sometimes years ahead. This is called predictive processing, and it is the core of almost everything your brain does. When you reach for a glass of water, your brain has already predicted the weight of the glass, the temperature, and the movement required before your hand makes contact. When someone begins a sentence, your brain is already predicting how it ends. When you walk into a room, your brain has already built a model of what that room should contain. You don't experience the world directly. You experience your brain's best guess about the world. And this is where anxiety enters, because anxiety is not a malfunction. It is your brain's predictive system running at full power on an uncertain future. Your brain scans ahead constantly, looking for gaps in its model, looking for things it cannot predict, looking for outcomes it cannot control. And when it finds them, it generates a feeling designed to get your attention. That feeling is anxiety, not a glitch, not a weakness. A signal. But here's what makes this genuinely fascinating, and the detail that most people miss entirely. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a threat that is real and a threat that is imagined. Read that again. To your nervous system, a vivid worry about something that might happen activates many of the same systems as something that is actually happening right now. Your heart rate rises. Cortisol enters your bloodstream. Your muscles prepare. Your attention narrows, all for something that exists only in your mind. This seems like a design flaw, but it isn't. Hold that thought. Because to understand why, we need to go back much further than you might expect. Tens of thousands of years ago, your ancestors lived in an environment where the cost of missing a threat was death. Not embarrassment, not inconvenience, death. And in that environment, a brain that occasionally generated false alarms was not a problem. A brain that failed to generate them was. Think about it this way. An ancient human hears a sound in the tall grass. It could be the wind. It could be a predator. The brain that assumed predator and was wrong lost a little energy running from nothing. The brain that assumed wind and was wrong never got another chance to be right. Evolution made a very clear choice. It built a brain that errs dramatically on the side of caution. A brain that would rather generate 100 false alarms than miss a single real one. Neuroscientists call this the negativity bias. Your brain is not designed to weigh threats and opportunities equally. It is designed to treat potential threats as more urgent, more real, and more important than almost anything else. Because throughout most of human history, that bias kept you alive. The problem is obvious. You are no longer on the savannah, but your brain doesn't know that. It is still running the same ancient software, still scanning for predators in the tall grass, still generating alarms for threats that no longer look the way they used to. The predator has become a difficult conversation you're dreading. The hostile stranger has become a message you're waiting for that hasn't arrived. The uncertain terrain has become a decision you can't stop second-guessing. Same alarm system, completely different world. And this is where something important happens. Because anxiety doesn't just respond to real threats or imagined, it responds to uncertainty itself. Researchers discovered something that sounds almost counterintuitive. People are more stressed by not knowing whether something bad will happen than by knowing for certain that it will. We would rather face a confirmed threat than wait in the unknown. Your brain prefers a bad answer over no answer at all. Because to your ancient survival system, uncertainty was the most dangerous state of all. If you didn't know where the predator was, it could be anywhere. If you couldn't predict what came next, you couldn't prepare. If the outcome was unclear, the only rational response was to stay alert indefinitely. And that is exactly what anxiety does. It keeps you alert indefinitely for a threat that may never arrive. But now, here's the layer that changes how you see your own mind. There's a structure in your brain called the amygdala. Two small almond-shaped regions sitting deep in the center of your brain. And their job is to detect threat, not to analyze it, not to evaluate whether it's rational, just to detect it and respond. The amygdala receives sensory information before your conscious thinking mind does. It processes what's happening and sends the alarm before you've had a single conscious thought about it. This is why anxiety so often arrives without explanation. You feel it before you know why. Your body is already responding before your mind has caught up. And here is the part that most people find either deeply unsettling or quietly reassuring, depending on how you look at it. You cannot think your way out of anxiety using the same system that's generating it. The amygdala doesn't respond to logic. Telling yourself to calm down rarely works in the moment. Reminding yourself that the threat isn't real doesn't switch off the alarm. Because the alarm isn't coming from the part of your brain that understands logic. It's coming from a part that is older, faster, and operates entirely beneath conscious thought. So what does work? This is where science has uncovered something both elegant and strange. The most effective way to communicate with your ancient alarm system is not through thought, it's through the body. Slow, deliberate breathing directly activates the vagus nerve, which signals the nervous system to downshift from threat response. Physical movement metabolizes the stress hormones that anxiety generates. Cold water on the face triggers what's called the dive reflex, slowing the heart rate almost immediately. Your body's not just where anxiety lives. It is also the fastest route back out of it. But here's the deeper question that all of this raises. If anxiety is a built-in feature and not a flaw, if it was designed to keep you alive, if it's running in almost every human being on the planet, why does it feel so much worse now than it used to? Because the modern world has created something the ancient brain was never designed for. Permanent, low-grade uncertainty. For most of human history, threats were immediate. A predator appeared, the alarm fired, you ran or you fought, and then it was over. The threat resolved, the alarm switched off. Your nervous system returned to baseline, but modern anxiety rarely works that way. Modern threats don't appear and disappear. They linger. Will this relationship last? Will I be enough? What if something goes wrong? What if I've already made the wrong choice? These are not predators you can outrun. They are questions without clean answers, and a brain designed to stay alert until the threat resolves. Has no resolution point, the alarm stays on. And sustained anxiety is exhausting in a way that goes far beyond the mind. Chronically elevated cortisol disrupts sleep. It weakens the immune system. It affects memory, decision-making, and the ability to feel pleasure. Your ancient alarm system, designed for short bursts of danger, is being asked to run indefinitely, and it was never built for that. So here is where this leaves us. Your anxiety is not evidence that something is broken inside you. It is evidence that you are carrying one of the most sophisticated survival systems ever produced by evolution. A system that has been refined over hundreds of thousands of years. That kept every one of your ancestors alive long enough to become your ancestor. That scans ahead, sounds alarms, and refuses to be quiet when the future feels uncertain. You are not too sensitive. You are not overreacting. You are running ancient hardware in a world that no longer matches the environment it was built for. And understanding that changes something, not instantly, not completely, but it changes something. Because when the alarm sounds and nothing visible is there, you can know what's actually happening. Not a personal failure, not a sign that things are falling apart, just an ancient brain doing what ancient brains do, scanning the horizon, preparing for what might come, trying in the only way it knows how. To keep you alive, the world your brain was built for is gone. But the brain is still here, still watching, still predicting, still sounding the alarm before you've had a single conscious thought about why. And maybe the most important thing to remember when anxiety arrives uninvited is that it has always been trying to protect you. It just hasn't learned yet that you're safe.